so I'm sitting here on my couch where I typically watch movies, and I'm hanging out with my little dog, Coco, who also likes to sit with us when we watch movies. Last month I filmed my first what I watched in April video, and now this is the what I watched in May video. And I'm a little late because I'm filming this on June 4th, and ideally I wanted to have this video out like June 1st. But I had to watch a specific movie in theaters before I could film this video. So before I go into it, I just wanted to say I did not watch Cruella. I'm sorry, I have not gotten to that movie yet. At first I thought I was definitely going to wait till August to see it for free on Disney+, and then I've been hearing the reviews and they sound good, and I'm kind of like, I might just go ahead and either watch it in theaters or pay the $30 and watch it at home. I haven't really been too impressed with the Disney live action remakes, and I know this is not like that at all. That's exactly why I kind of want to watch it, because I heard it's kind of like its own style of movie, and it's nothing like a Disney, it's nothing like Mulan, for example, which I did not like Mulan. I'm glad to hear that it's kind of like a different style completely. I heard good things. I heard that it definitely reminds people of like The Devil Wears Prada and Joker, which are two films I love. And also Emma Stone is one of my favorite actresses, and I know I'm gonna love her in it. I know I'm gonna love the fashion, the music. I've heard great things about that. Two of the movie reviewers that I like to watch on YouTube are Chris Duckman and Jeremy Johns, and I respect their opinions, and they both enjoyed Cruella, so I'm highly considering watching it. So it might come out in my what I watched in June video. If you did watch Cruella, please share your thoughts down below and let me know what you thought. So there was a film that I had to watch before I can make this video, and that film is A Quiet Place 2. And it was the first film we finally got to see again in theaters after over a year. I think the last film we saw in theaters was Rise of the Skywalker, so 2019. It was so nice to finally be back in the theaters and to especially watch A Quiet Place 2, because if there is a film that you should watch in theaters, it is A Quiet Place 2. That is such an amazing film. I was so happy with it. And if you have not seen the first Quiet Place, I definitely recommend you watch that first, of course. It's not like you have to see the first film to understand what's going on, but you know, I think ideally you should. If you don't know, it's directed by John Krasinski, Jim from The Office, and he is amazing. I hope he directs more movies. I don't care if it's another Quiet Place film or if it's a completely different style of movie. I'm down to see whatever he films because he's awesome. The young daughter in the film, Millicent Simmons, I believe her name is incredible. The way they play with sound, they kind of have moments where they show from her perspective and how it sounds to her, which is just like pitch silence, and how they go from that to like the loudness of the chaotic world that is actually happening. And then I love how when there's noise, it's more impactful. Definitely a film that I would recommend watching in theaters. Unless you have like a really good surround sound system, then I guess, you know, that could work too. I will say it's a film that I felt so much anxiety. I think I spent the whole film just like covering my face. I don't know why. I like noticed the whole time I was covering my face, and I was just like, it really is intense in the best way possible. I did love the first film, and I do think this one holds a candle to that one. I think I like the first one just a little pinch more, and obviously most of the time the first of anything is always gonna be better. That's just the way it is. And also I like that in the first film John Krasinski is like in the entire film, so there's that too. It was definitely the perfect movie to watch in a theater after over a year of not watching movies in theaters, so I'm so glad we saw it. Definitely 10 out of 10 would recommend, and if you have watched it, please comment down below and let me know what you thought, because it is just, I think, the highlight of, I know technically I did not watch it in May, I technically saw it June 3rd, but I couldn't wait till the next month to talk about this film, so I just had to throw it out there in the beginning of this one because it was just the best thing I've seen in a while. So next on my list is actually a show called Younger, which I did mention already in the last video I filmed for what I watched in April, but the difference is that when I watched it back in April, I had talked about just the first season, and I had just started the second season. Well, now I'm on season 7, and I'm one episode away from finishing the entire show, and the only reason why I have not finished it is because there's one episode left that has not been released. Honestly, whatever this last episode has in store, it's fine. I enjoyed the show. It was great. I don't care what the last episode does. It could not ruin the experience of the entire series. It was an amazing show. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I love all the cast. It really did such a good job making you fall in love with all the characters in the show. and especially the main character, Sutan Foster. Is that her name? Sutan Foster, the actress. She's incredible, and you can't help but fall in love with her. Well, obviously I love Hilary Duff. I love the friendship between her and Liza, and it's just a fun show. And if you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend it. It's on Hulu, and I'm gonna be sad now that it's gonna be over, but you know. The next thing I wanted to mention that was on my list is actually another series, and then after that it's gonna be mostly movies, but I just wanted to throw this in there because I loved it, and it was the Selena series part 2. It's on Netflix right now, and it came out on the perfect timing for Cinco de Mayo, so it was the perfect thing to kind of get into this month. But I will say it's a bittersweet feeling with that show, because as much as I enjoyed it, I cried a lot. It was an emotional journey for me. I seriously ugly cried at the end, and I knew the ending obviously because everybody knows the ending of what happened with Selena, but I just spent a lot of time crying. And I love Selena so much, and I've seen the movie. Obviously I remember seeing the movie when I was a kid, back when with Jennifer Lopez, you know, and I always loved her music, and I've been listening to her music a lot more this month than ever, just because I've really been thinking about Selena a lot more lately than ever. But that series, I think, did a great job. Really is like an extended version of the movie. The girl who played Selena did a great job. Everybody did a great job in the show. I enjoyed it. It's like more information and more, it's just like a little bit longer and a little bit more to look at than the movie. So I found out that Target was selling these like Selena Funko Pops. So I went to 3 different Targets in my area, and I was looking everywhere for these Funko Pops, and all the Targets around me had sold out of them. So I went online and I saw that Amazon had it for like double the price. But I gave in, and I had to get a little Selena Funko Pop because she's so cute. And I just wanted, I've been listening to her music so much. I watched the show, and I just was in this Selena mood, and I was like, I need to get the Selena Funko Pop. So I love Selena. I think she's so talented. Lost too soon. I'm never gonna get over it. So of course, in the month of May is May the 4th be with you. And we decided it would be fun, my boyfriend and I, to have a Star Wars month. So we actually watched all the first 6 films of Star Wars. And it was fun. I will say, I'm not a huge Star Wars person. I never have been. I had never really truly sat down and watched the original 3 films. Meaning 4, 5, and 6. I guess because I knew they were older, and I just never, I had seen them in passing, but I hadn't really like sat down and watched them officially. So this was my first time really watching them, and I don't know why it took so long to try it out, because it was enjoyable. There's nothing I can really say too much about Star Wars. I think we all know about Star Wars by now, so I'm not gonna go into it, but I'll just make like a comment for each film. A Phantom Menace, my least favorite of them all. The most boring. I really can't stand Jar Jar Binks, I'm sorry. Attack of the Clones, better, mostly because I like the whole Anakin and Padme romance. As a kid, I only liked those films because of Natalie Portman, and I had a huge crush on Anakin. Revenge of the Sith is my favorite from the first 3 films because you know, you get to see Anakin turn into Darth Vader, and there's a little bit more of that romance and tension that builds up, and you know, the first 3 films are not that great. Episode 4, A New Hope, probably the most fun I had out of all of them. I guess because I had never really sat down and truly watched that film. It's just fun because it really introduces the characters, and it felt so short, which is weird to say because most of the Star Wars films feel long, but this one felt so short. I was kind of like, that's it? Empire Strikes Back, I was just excited to watch that one because of the whole Yoda scene. I mean, I was just thinking about the whole rockin' and rollin'. Down to the beach, I'm strolling. And then Return of the Jedi, I think the highlight of that film was Jabba the Hutt. So, I don't know. I enjoyed them all. They were all great films. I really enjoyed getting into the Star Wars spirit in the month of May. And it might become a new tradition for us, where every month of May we binge watch Star Wars. I don't know. Why not? Okay, so the next thing I have to mention is something that we saw like maybe just a few days ago, and it was just so worth watching that I can't like express enough how much I enjoyed this. And it is Bo Burnham's Inside comedy special on Netflix right now. The last video I filmed of what I watched in April. I randomly mentioned Bo Burnham, not knowing that he was coming out with another special or anything. We just decided to watch his special, Get Happy, and I mentioned it in the video because I was saying how much I enjoyed it, and it wasn't the first time we had seen it. And then, for some strange reason, out of nowhere, we're just on Netflix, and we see Bo Burnham has a new special called Inside, and I'm just like, wait a second. What? I don't know what's going on, but these last few months have been all about Bo Burnham, and now I really want to watch the film he directed called 8th Grade, and I'm probably going to end up mentioning that one in the next film of what I watched in June, so stay tuned for that. Bo Burnham's Inside is such a journey. It is basically, first of all, you have to like Bo Burnham, okay? So if you haven't seen his comedy and you don't really understand what it's like, it's a lot of singing, it's very musical. His jokes come in his songs, that if you have to like musicals. But he is like a creative genius. His songs are all so clever, so well done. He's so good at what he does visually. The way that he like performs these songs are just incredible, and they were all done while stuck at home during the pandemic, which makes it that much more interesting. And even more interesting is that you kind of watch him go, I'm not gonna say go crazy, but he kind of like loses his mind a little bit by the end. It was definitely like a passion project for him, and I loved every part of it. Definitely worth watching if you, again, are into music and singing and comedy, and especially if you're into Bo Burnham, you will definitely enjoy it. Now, speaking of another comedy, stand-up comedy special, I think I'm probably going to always mention at least 1 or 2 comedy specials or stand-up comedies because we just really like watching comedians. Back in 2019, we went to LA and we visited the Comedy Store, which is a very popular spot for all the comedians to go and perform. And that was our first time seeing Ali Wong, and she was amazing. We found her so funny that we randomly decided to watch her special on Netflix, and it's the Baby Cobra special. And it was hilarious, as expected. She is so funny. She's actually pregnant in this special, so the whole time she's just, I mean, it's just so funny to watch this tiny little lady who is like pregnant, and she's just hilarious. The things that come out of her, the things that she says are just so out there that I definitely recommend checking out Ali Wong if you haven't. I think she has another special on Netflix that I'm gonna have to check out, but the Baby Cobra one, I think it was released in 2016 and it was so funny. So I definitely recommend it if you're looking for something to laugh at. So now I'm gonna mention a few movies that I thought were really good. Not like as good as A Quiet Place 2, but like really, really good, worth mentioning. All came out pretty recently as well. The first one is The Woman in the Window, and it is a like mystery drama that just came out. It's on Netflix, and it has Amy Adams as the main actress, and I know Gary Oldman's also in it, and Julianne Moore. Actually a very entertaining film, kind of slow, but like still very good. It's about a woman who is agoraphobic, which means that she's scared to go outside, so she stays alone in her house all the time, and she's scared to leave her house, and she thinks that she sees something happen to one of her neighbors while she's looking through the window. It's definitely an interesting film. I enjoyed it. The ending has a little bit of a plot twist, which I appreciated. I think it's worth watching. It's nothing out of this world, but it's entertaining if you're looking for something kind of like slightly interesting and spooky, but not like scary or anything like that. Just like, you know, it's enjoyable. The next movie I wanted to mention is on Hulu right now, and it's called Crawl, and it is a 2019 horror thriller. And this movie hits home because it is about a like massive hurricane that's coming to Florida. This girl basically ignores the like evacuation orders that are being told to everyone, and she's trying to find her father who won't answer his phone, so she goes to his house to look for him. And in the process, there is just like alligator monsters, unlike anything I've ever seen before. These alligators are humongous, and it is actually terrifying, and it is such a good movie that has so much like tension. It's a little bit more thriller than horror, but it's really good, and definitely recommend. The next film I wanted to mention that I think is actually the best of the 3 that I'm mentioning is Greenland. This film came out in 2020, and it's like an action film, but mostly a disaster film, like a apocalypse world. It's intense. It has Gerald Butler in it, and it's about like a comet that is coming towards the earth, and the government is picking specific people who fall under certain criterias or whatever, who they're gonna take to a safe place so that when the comet comes, they can help kind of like restart society, I guess, and you know, continue civilization. It's just a lot. It's good. It's really good. All I can say is that it was worth the watch. And it's one of those films that kind of shows how people get in moments of panic. The really good and the really bad in people, if that makes any sense. The next film I'm going to mention is pretty random. Not a new film at all. It is Twister, which is a 1996 like action adventure film that gives me all the Universal Studios vibes, and we're actually going to Universal Studios this month, so to me it was like the perfect film to kind of like get into the Universal Studios vibes. Basically, I mean, I'm sure you know the plot of Twister, but it's about these people who are like storm chasers, and they're trying to like get this machine inside of the tornado, so they're trying to chase after the tornado so they can like insert the machine in the middle of it so they can like measure out something. I'm not going to pretend to explain what exactly they were up to, but it was it was fun. It's a fun film. It's not my first time seeing it, it's a rewatch, but it had been years, and it reminds me of the actual ride, or I don't know if it's considered a ride, but Universal used to have Twister. I missed that ride, so yeah, it was a nice little throwback. So the next thing on my list is a little bit of a rewatch of a series, and it's not a long series, it's actually a very short one, and it's The Curious Creations of Christine McConnell, which I'm sure if you've been following my channel, you've heard me mention her like way too many times by now. This is like the third time I've watched this series. Well, it's only one season. It's like, is it like 9 episodes or something? I'm not sure, but it's not a lot. It's not a lot to work off of, but I really enjoy that show, and I'm sad that they never did a season 2. But also, if you've been watching my channel, I've been trying to recreate a lot of the crafts and the creations that she has on that show. So I did one recently, and I'll link it up above. I recreated an edible tea set that she did on the show, and it was an interesting time. But basically, I rewatched it so I could get more inspiration to kind of get some ideas of other crafts and creations that I can try from her show. And I don't know, I'm looking forward to doing a few more ideas that I kind of like have in mind that I think look doable, because she is really good at making really ridiculously difficult things look super easy and casual. She is just so talented and creative and beautiful and cool, calm, and collected about everything she does, and she makes everything seem like so like easy peasy, no big deal, and it's like, girl, you're insane in the best way possible. Okay, so the last 3 films I'm gonna mention are bad, and you know what? You gotta watch bad films sometimes, because if you didn't watch bad films, then you wouldn't appreciate the good ones. I'm not against films that are considered bad. To be honest, one of these is not as bad as the others, but there's one that's like really bad, and I'll leave that one for last. So first one I'm gonna mention is Bean. It's not that it's a bad film. If you watched my last video of what I watched in April, I had mentioned that my boyfriend and I had talked about Mr. Bean's and how I had never seen Bean and he had never seen Mr. Bean's Holiday. So last month we watched Mr. Bean's Holiday, and then this month we watched Bean. It's a 1997 film, it's a comedy, but it's Mr. Bean's comedy, so you know, you gotta like Mr. Bean's first of all to enjoy the film. And it's just, it's very silly, you know, it's just super silly. The plot is silly. The whole thing is just silly. I don't know what else to say. For some reason, he gets chosen to be a security guard for like a very important museum in like London. And he's responsible for this very important painting. And it just makes no sense. And it's just, all it is like a random movie to have excuses, to find reasons to have Mr. Bean's do little silly skits in the middle of it. That's really what it is. I don't believe the film itself is really interesting or anything. If you enjoy Mr. Bean's, you'll laugh at some of the silly stuff, but overall I found it to be actually not as good as Mr. Bean's Holiday. So the next film is actually pretty random and would have never probably been an option if it hadn't been for trying out the Netflix option where you can play something random. They will pick something random for you and then just start playing it, and we kind of thought, you know what, that could be fun. Let's just see what Netflix puts for us. And one of the things they put was Your Highness, which is such a film. It's not good, it's not bad, it's okay, it's fine. It's slightly entertaining. It's a 2011 comedy that has a lot of really good actors in it, surprisingly. It has Natalie Portman and James Franco and Danny McBride and even Zooey Deschanel. It's basically like a spoof of 80s fantasy films, and you know, it's not bad. I shouldn't say it's bad, but it's not good. It's okay. Now, this last film that I'm gonna mention is by far the craziest thing we saw all month, in the sense of like the most absurd film I have seen in a long time, and it is called Movie 43. I don't know how we came across it. For some reason we found ourselves watching it. I think it won an award because it's considered to be like the worst movie ever. I don't know if it's like officially the worst movie ever, but it's like one of the worst movies ever, so that's saying something. But yet it has the most amount of really famous actors and cast in it. It is like a ridiculous list. Hold on. It has Hugh Jackman, Emma Stone, Kate Winslet, Halle Berry, Richard Gere, Gerald Butler, Chris Pratt, Anna Faris, Uma Thurman, Johnny Knoxville, Kristen Bell. It is ridiculous how many people, like the list goes on and on. So many good actors are in this film, and this film is just insanity. Basically, they just decided to make a film about a film, and then in the film, there's a lot of little other films, and those little other films are like little tiny skits that these famous actors play in for maybe 2 to 5 minutes, and then it moves on to the next video. It's so weird. I don't even know how to explain it. And all the little skits and little videos that they're showing are so out there. Like, just what am I watching type of stuff. And I will say it was bad, but like, kind of enjoyed it. If you've watched any of the movies or the shows or series or comedy specials that I mentioned, please comment down below and let me know what you thought. I would love to hear everybody's opinions and kind of like chat about movies and TV shows, because I think it's fun. Tell me what you're into right now. What is like the movie or show that you just watched that you're really into outside of Cruella? I'm sure a lot of you guys love Cruella. Please don't forget to subscribe and like the video. It really helps my channel, and toodaloo!